And let's hear from Jason Judkins, our Director of Financial Aid. Are you with us, Jason?
Hi, Christopher. Yes, Jason Judkins, Director of Financial Aid Veteran Services here. And can I just say that your enthusiasm, is better than coffee right now. So thank you for being the MC for this. So what I can go ahead and do is, Christopher, is it okay if I can share my PowerPoint?
Oh, please go right ahead.
Okay, let me go ahead and do that. All right. Well, my name is Jason Judkins, Director of Financial Aid Veteran Services. I've been with the college for a while now. I know I get a lot of questions sometimes. Some students think, maybe they don't qualify. Maybe they think their parents make too much money. But I just want to, you don't know until you apply. There's a lot of resources available. I know there's scholarships, there's grants, which are free money. There's fee waivers that can pay for your enrollment fee. So we encourage students to apply for as much as possible. I know they talked probably about the scholarship drive that's going on right now. So, I just want to go over some resources. If you have questions, feel free to, put those in. I think that's how they're doing in the chat. I'm going to put some links in there, anything from how to apply for the FAFSA, where to go. If you're a Dreamer student, there's resources available. I'll put that information in there. Contact information for not only our Department for Financial Aid Veteran Services, but also I'll give you my extension. If you have any questions, feel free to email me. I got my number that I'll put in the chat too. So let me go ahead and start with the first part. So basically, the FAFSA, if you haven't heard that before, it's a free application for federal student aid. It's a federal application that may potentially qualify you for additional aid like grants, maybe fee waivers, maybe scholarships or requirement for you to apply for the FAFSA. Typically, this application opens up October 1st, and there's a deadline, a soft deadline of March 2nd. So the new FAFSA for 2021 and 2022 is open right now. And there's a soft deadline on March 2nd. You can apply after that, but you may lose out on additional aid like the Cal Grant, which is a state grant. So if you have not done your 20 or 21-22 FAFSA, I encourage you to do that as soon as possible. Now, if you need help with that application, because sometimes it can be complicated, may ask for different information like tax information, maybe if you're dependent, your parents' information. We do have FAFSA labs available. If you go to our website, we'll have a listing of labs. Contact us. We'll be more than happy to set up a Zoom meeting to help you out with that application. But if you've not done it yet, you will need to do that. Try to do that by March 2nd. So it's 21-22 FAFSA. Now, we're currently in the 2021 FAFSA period, and that's covering for last fall, this spring, and the summer. So if you have not applied for that, you can still apply. There's still time. So when you apply for the FAFSA, there'll be 2 years, 2021 and 21-22. So the 2021 is for the current academic year, all the way up to summer. And then for fall 21, that's the 21-22 FAFSA. So if you have not applied for either and you're going to school right now, I suggest you apply for both. But you will need some information like social security number, parents' information, their social, security number, name, driver's license. So make sure it's a good idea to gather that stuff together before you start, because that way it's a little bit easier when you do the application. And studentaid.gov, that's the main federal website you'll go to that has information on grants, student loans, maybe information on scholarships, but you'll go to that to actually apply for the FAFSA. Now, if you are not able to apply for the FAFSA based on your immigration status, there is what's called the California DREAM Act. It's the same application period, and actually the application kind of mirrors the FAFSA, but it's a different link, and it's through the state. So the application opens up October 1st, and there is a deadline on March 2nd. So I encourage, if you are a student, maybe you're not eligible for the FAFSA based on your immigration status, please apply for the DREAM Act, because there's also resources available for those students. We may be able to help you out with a Cal grant, which could be several $1,000s or thousands of dollars, and also a maybe book advances, book fee waivers. We may have additional funding from the state. So, we have help if you need help with that application also. So not just the FAFSA, but the DREAM Act application. So I encourage students to apply for that if you fall in that category. And that's dream.csac.ca.gov. And I'll put that in the chat with links for that information. As mentioned, when you do the FAFSA or DREAM Act, it will ask for certain information. It'll ask about social security number, citizenship. Are you a high school graduate? Did you register for selective service? It will ask about income information for 2019. So if you're dependent, you're going to need your information plus your parents' information if you did a file. Now, when you do the FAFSA, I highly suggest that you use the IRS data retrieval. And what that is when you fill the FAFSA application and it'll ask for tax information, you can transfer your tax information or your parents' tax information directly from the IRS to your FAFSA. It makes the application process much simpler. And then sometimes when we download your application, we may ask for that, maybe a copy of your tax return. If you do the data retrieval from the IRS, we don't require that information because you already provided that from the IRS. So I highly recommend you use that IRS data retrieval when you do your FAFSA application to tie that information into your application. It makes it a little bit simpler, a lot less paperwork that you have to provide to us, and we can process you and award you faster. It will ask for dependency status. Now, dependency status determines whether you need to provide just your information or your parents' information. So if you're, at a certain age, if you're like married, active duty military, you may only be independent. If you're under 24, not married, not an orphan ward of court, not in the military, you may have to, be dependent and provide parent information. So it's a good idea when you're filling an application out to make sure you're reading those questions correctly. Now, if you are orphan ward of court, even at-risk homeless, under legal guardianship, foster youth, you could be independent and only need to provide your information. So like I said, make sure you're reading those questions carefully. Also, if you fall in those categories, we do have resources available. There's a homeless youth liaison in our office. There's a Next Up program for foster youth. So, just remember, we have resources here at the college for you, and I'm pretty sure they've talked about that. But just make sure you're filling an application out correctly. So when we get your information, we say, oh, okay, we have a foster youth. We have a program for that. So we can help you out with books, supplies, and so forth. Now, if for some reason that you're not able to provide parental information, so you're a dependent student, but maybe you're not able to provide parental information, we can also work with you on that. Maybe you have an extenuating circumstance. Maybe we can do kind of a dependency change. That's always case by case, but definitely reach out to us if you have questions and we can definitely help you out. Now, when you apply for financial aid, there's different programs. There's grants. Grants are basically free money. You don't have to pay the Department of Education back. So let's say you do the FAFSA, we award you, you're eligible for what's like a federal Pell Grant. That could be all the way up to over $6,000. And that's free money to you to help your education, whether it's books, supplies, transportation, to help you be successful in college. Now, there's additional aid like California College Promise grants, which are fee waivers. So the enrollment fee is $46 a unit. If you do your FAFSA, you could get a fee waiver based on that. So not only could you get a grant, which is free money going to you to purchase books, supplies, whatever, you can also have your enrollment fees waived. So you're almost basically going to school for free. There's additional aid like the Cal grant. So that's why I mentioned that March 2nd deadline, do your FAFSA by March 2nd. So you could potentially get a Cal grant. That's additional grant for you. Now, if you're going full time, there's money for that called the Student Success Completion Grant. If you're a foster youth or former foster youth, you may be eligible for a Chafee grant. That's additional grant for you. If you want to work, there's federal work study. Now, right now, due to COVID, there's certain restrictions, but typically part of your aid package is eligibility for work study. It depends on, your eligibility for financial aid, depends on positions at the college, but you could work while going to school, earn money, and that's yours to keep. It's like a regular job. Typically it's part-time working on campus, or maybe some off-campus work through our local high schools or libraries, but that's additional aid. So you work on campus, you get paid through your financial aid. You don't have to pay that back. It's like a regular job. Now, scholarships, that's another part of your financial aid. That typically, you have to do a little bit of homework with scholarships. And I do preface this with make sure you're not paying for a scholarship, because there's a lot of scam sites. We have a scholarship drive going on right now. Maybe there's outside scholarships, maybe your parents or of your work has a scholarship program. That's something to look into. And we have some links to different scholarship sites on our website to take advantage of. But I do recommend you apply for scholarships as much as possible, because I've been on scholarship committees where money's kind of left on the table. So we don't have enough applicants. And we're not going to have it this year because there's going to be plenty of students applying. So I mentioned student success completion grants. That's for students who are going full time, which is typically 12 or more units. That's additional aid that could help you out if you're eligible for a state Cal grant. Let's see. One thing I didn't add, going back to the programs, is student loans. We are participating in the student loan program. Loans are part of financial aid. It's not recommended you take a loan out because you have to pay that loan back. But it is a tool in the financial aid toolbox. So that information, we'll be updating that on our website about that program. Now, going back to the California College Promise Grant, which is basically a fee waiver, which waives enrollment fee. There's different types. The main one I focus on is the CCPGC, because once you do the FAFSA, we will import your application from the Department of Ed and determine eligibility. So if you do a FAFSA, we usually get it within 2 to 3 days. Once we download it, the process, we'll check to see if you're eligible for a fee waiver, and we'll post that right away. So it's a quick way to get a fee waiver on top of potentially eligible getting grants and additional aid from that FAFSA application. You can get that fee waiver. So it's recommended to do the FAFSA or the DREAM Act application for the fee waiver. We do have a paper application, a form that you could potentially get it a different method, but I highly recommend you do the FAFSA first. If you are a veteran or dependent of a veteran, you may qualify for a fee waiver through the Veterans CalVet fee waivers. Typically, you'll get a form from the VA stating that you're eligible. That would need to be submitted to our Veteran Services Office, and we can process a fee waiver from there. So there are different criteria, but I highly recommend you do that FAFSA application first. Okay, so we did get another program in called the Victor Valley College Promise Program. It's different from the Promise Grant. This is sometimes students, when they do the FAFSA, they don't meet the requirement to get a fee waiver through the Promise Grant. This program allows students who are California residents or AB 540, and AB 540 is a different residency status that they pay in-state tuition. It qualifies these students if they may not qualify for the regular fee waiver, but if they're enrolled full-time, they can get their enrollment fees waived. So typically, a majority of our students get a fee waiver when they do the FAFSA. Some students don't qualify because maybe their parents' income or their income is too high, but they can get it through this program called the Victor Valley College Promise. So they have to be California resident, do a FAFSA, enrolled at least 12 or more units, and they have to be first time. So first time going to college. Now, when they do the FAFSA, a lot of students already get a fee waiver, but for those that don't, because maybe their parents or their income is too high, they can still get, their classes paid for through this program. And we have scholarships. As I mentioned, we have a scholarship drive going on right now. I believe you go to my VBC portal and you have a scholarship manager to get started. We have different scholarship sites, studentaid.gov. I would go to that, ask about scholarships. Maybe, of a program, your parents' job may have a scholarship program. And like I said, beware of scams. You're never going to pay, never pay for a scholarship, never pay for completing the FAFSA. FAFSA is the free application for federal student aid, free, so never pay for that. Also, never share your social security number, bank account information. It's just kind of, there's some scam sites out there. Just got to be careful. And if you have any questions on anything, if you're not sure, feel free to, like I said, to give us a call, and we'll just kind of double check. Okay, is that legit? Is it not a scam.com? Probably is a scam. If you are a veteran or dependent of a veteran, we have veteran services located on our campus. We have a Veterans Resource Center. You may be eligible for educational benefits. Maybe you're receiving those from your parent who is a veteran, or maybe you're, a veteran yourself coming into college first time. We're there to help you out. We have an educational counselor. We have staff available that can get you processed through your educational benefits, getting those done. Our information, I'll post that also, but feel free to contact us if you have any questions. But we try to get you, processed as soon as possible. And if you have any questions on your VA benefits, feel free to contact us. We have a Veterans Resource Center that we're very proud of. So we're hoping this COVID stuff goes away pretty soon so we can open back up to the public, because, we would love to have our vets come back. So. Chafee grant, kind of mentioned that before. This is for if you're current or former foster youth. You could be eligible for, over $5,000. Typically, you need to go on to the California website. If you're a current former foster youth, we have a foster youth liaison, working in the financial aid office that can help you out with financial aid issues. We have a Next Up program that has information for our foster youth for additional benefits. Typically, when we download your FAFSA, if you put down your foster youth, that's the only thing making you independent. We may require additional information. So if you have a letter from the Department of Social Services, something that shows your status for foster youth, we may request that. But definitely want to touch base with us if you have any questions on additional aid. Like I said, there's a Chafee grant, could be up to $5,000. And then they have the Next Up program, which is additional support services for our foster youth. If you are at risk of homelessness or homeless, we do have a homeless liaison that we are working with to help students. If you need support like housing, food insecurities, we have a program that may be able to help you out, getting you into a home or helping you out with services to make sure you're not homeless. So, make sure that, if you have a question, contact us. I mean, we have resources available to help you out. And then, just because we want to make your experience here as smooth as possible. So, getting through financial aid, getting, funding for books and supplies and so forth, that's our number one goal to get you through. And that way, when you actually, go to class, you're not worried about, where to live, or you're not worried about, can I afford books? So you're done. With that, you're just ready to just do your process, transfer, graduate, get your certificate. So that's our goal, is get you through there and help you out. Homeless liaison, Elaine Navarrete. I'll put her information there too, but that's her extension. But if you have any questions about that, if you are finding yourself, especially this time with COVID and loss of employment, we have resources available. So we have a financial literacy program. We partnered with ECMC Learning. They're a company that offers financial literacy. So if you want to learn about budgeting, how to save, investing, well, not the Robinhood app with GameStop, but one of the save and how retirement works. We have that available. Feel free to stop by. It's in our website under financial aid, financial literacy, but it offers different modules, and it's pretty cool because you can self-paced learn about saving, even budgeting, and just how retirement works, and just some financial information that that way you're kind of a little bit well-rounded with that information. I know for me, I wish I had this when I was a little bit younger. So. And In closing, I would like to say that, you want to make sure that, if you're not sure, feel free to contact us, and we'll more than happy, answer any questions you have with applying for either the FAFSA or DREAM Act. If your situation may change, maybe you're not able to provide parent information, maybe you had loss of income, your parents lost income, that's something that we can work with you. That's something that we can look at your information. Maybe we can do adjustments on that based on, case by case. If you're running into housing, food insecurity, so support there. We're here for you guys. And then I'll put, like I said, I'll put information in the chat with our links and everything. And if you have any questions, I'm here for, here for a while. So thank you so much.
Wonderful. Thank you, Jason. Really appreciate that.
I was kind of worried that I was muted the whole time, so that would have been bad.
We caught the very end. You said my email is blah blah blah.edu.
Okay.
And thank you.
We start over now.
All right. No, but very much appreciate that. What, if I can mimic anything or echo anything that Jason said, it's fill out the FAFSA. When in doubt, whether you think you qualify or not, fill out the FAFSA, because most often or not, that is the gateway to finding out what resources are out there for you. So they do a fantastic job of helping students apply for FAFSA with seminars that they hold, and of course, helping online virtually right now. We do have one question. It looks like, it's in regards to scholarships. Okay, in regards to scholarships, I wanted to apply, but it said I do not qualify, and I have not even filled out the application. The deadline isn't until the end of February, but is it first come, first serve? So to answer that question, I'm going to answer part of it, and I'll shoot it over to you, Jason, if you don't mind.
Sure.
Our on-campus scholarship drive is going on right now. It's opened, and scholarship applications can be submitted up through March 31st. There is, again, you access that by visiting your My VBC portal and clicking on the scholarship manager link. There is no connection to the FAFSA as far as needing to be able to qualify, and everybody's able to apply. So if you're having any issues with the actual application process for our on-campus scholarship drive, Daisy, I'll put my email in the link. Excuse me, in the chat. That way you can reach out to me and I'll help you with that application. But Jason, would you reiterate the deadlines for FAFSA, please?
Every year the application opens up October 1st, but there is a soft deadline on March 2nd, and that's coming up for the 21-22 FAFSA. Now, you can still get financial aid after that, but if you go past March 2nd, you may lose out on state aid like the Cal Grant, because they do kind of have a soft deadline to determine eligibility. So it's highly recommended that if you've not done the FAFSA for 21-22, do that before March 2nd.